Yo, yo, yo. Oh, shit. What's good, YouTube? It's your boy RJ, and today we got episode 11 of the We Game podcast, where we talk about gaming news because we game. So yeah, we got a pretty interesting podcast this week. I took last week off. It wasn't really much going on enough to where, I actually wanted to do a podcast about it. But I think this week we got enough to talk about. So let's go ahead and dive straight into the topic. So first thing we're going to be talking about this week is Steam has updated their user terms and agreement, and basically kept it real with everybody and let everybody know that when you buy games on Steam, that you do not own the games. You're buying a license to play the games, which is crazy, by the way. To think about how far we've come in gaming, to where now when we buy our games, we're not really buying our games. It's like we're really renting our games for premium prices. But nobody wants to speak on that, though. But when we're buying these new games and stuff, even if we're buying it on a disc, we're buying these games for premium prices, and we truly don't have the rights and ownership of these games, these copies. We don't truly own the copy of the game that we're buying, whether we're buying it digitally or we're buying it on the disc. These companies have the right, for whatever reason, have the right to come in and discontinue their support, which means snatch these games away from the users. If you're on PC, you have a little bit more protections, to that type of stuff. You could go third party. You have ways of getting around these DRM circumstances. On console, you're subjected to whatever Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo wants to do. You are. If they want to remove it from your hard drive, they have the right to do that. So let's go ahead and watch this video and see what's going on. Let's get down to the nitty gritty.
What's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video, here to go over a pretty interesting note that Steam is doing and a new change that they've made, pretty much telling you that any game you buy, you ain't owning it, you are buying a digital license, which if you know how these things work, that should have been apparent to you, but they are getting ahead of a law that is going into force next year. Steam is now telling gamers right off the top that you are not buying any game that you purchase, rather you are buying a license that grants you access to the digital product. So it notes a purchase of a digital product grants a license for the product on Steam. For full terms and conditions, please see the Steam subscriber agreement. This is new whenever you buy a game on Steam. Obviously, the question of game ownership has really come into play over the last, I want to say, year, 16 months, with things like the crew shutting down, games getting delisted. It's been a bigger and bigger talking point, and as we are moving more into a digital age, I mean, PC and digital has always kind of been a reality. Like, we've been pretty familiar with digital, but consoles are now moving closer and closer to a digital landscape as well, and it begs the question, what is your real ownership? Now, I would argue the ownership and the digital market on PC is a lot better than the digital market on console, because on PC, you do have the ability to have multiple storefronts. You do have other key sellers that are selling games discounted. There's a little bit of competition, and the market is a little bit open. The dangerous thing about a console digital-only landscape is you are completely closing that ecosystem. That PlayStation ecosystem is now completely controlled by Sony, PlayStation, Microsoft. If they go full digital, it's controlled by them. That is a little bit dangerous. Now, Steam is obviously controlled by Valve, but they are a little bit more open where they'll let a Green Man Gaming, they'll let all these other key sellers sell keys of the games, and I don't know, and I don't think Sony is going to be doing that where they're going to offer the other digital storefronts the ability to sell their games. So it creates a very, very dangerous territory, especially when you factor in things like games getting delisted, Crew, for example, and all of the hoopla that has caused. Last month, as noted on Engadget, California Governor Gavin Newsom signed AB 2426 into law, forcing digital marketplaces to make it clear to customers when they only purchase a license to access media. It will.
Hey, that's so fire that Cali don't make a lot of laws or innovate in a lot of laws that make sense, if that makes sense, right? But this particular law is amazing because now people don't have to worry about that gray area. They got to keep it real with us. They got to, especially in Cali. Hopefully, other lawmakers across the country, even across the world, make this more known, because to be honest, Steam and the community on Steam will stand on these companies. They'll stand on PlayStation, they'll stand on Microsoft, they'll stand on Ubisoft, EA. Any of these companies come on Steam and they get to acting weird, or they get to pushing weird things, and it starts to gain traction, Steam users and gamers will get on their ass. So it's good that, Steam has kind of went ahead and changed some things to where now it's starting to gain traction, because now these companies, man, they can't hide these licenses and how they do with these licenses in the user term and agreement, document that nobody ever reads. We just accept it and keep it pushing. Right, when all of this stuff is in that document, but nobody cares. Nobody cares to look for it, and they don't make it easy either to find it. You got to scroll through so much text to actually find the things that matter. So I'm glad that this stuff is starting to gain traction. Let's continue to see what else is going on.
Not apply to permanent offline downloads, only digital copies of video games, music, movies, TV shows, or ebooks from an online storefront. There is a lot of discussion in terms of the longevity and the future of the digital landscape. Particularly, guys, we are really the first generation that is entering into this all digital world, or, you own so many things, quote unquote own, and I should probably use different verbiage, but you get the idea. The ownership, I don't even know, the licenses you have acquired over the last years. What's gonna happen when 50 years from now, I draw my last breath, fingers crossed 50 years from now, will my grandkids be able to access the games that I've bought, and will there be a level of inheritability? Because
ooh, that's a great point, man. Preservation of games, man. We're losing the ability to preserve these games. All of this stuff is going digital, what makes it harder for us to, get a hold of it, right? And especially if they're pulling licenses from us. When this stuff is going digital, they have way more control over how the stuff is produced, and or who can get a hold of this content, these games. So hopefully laws continue to develop in America, in Europe, in Japan, that force these companies to continue support. Don't make anything you do not want to support forever. That's what these companies need to be subjected to.
As anything physically, you would assume that there would be a level of inheritability. Obviously, if I just give my kids any physical copies of games I own, that would be theirs to own. But the value proposition of digital media, that is something that's always been put into question, and it is a little bit of a concern. Game ownership and ownership in general has been a concern. Do I think about it all that often? No. I kind of, you know, it's not something that I constantly think about. Obviously, I do think about games that I love getting delisted, and the issue with Crew was just absolutely ridiculous because that's a game people paid a lot of money for, and the ownership was legitimately kind of revoked from people. Like, that was a little bit wild. In the case of the delistings, yes, it's annoying. You do retain the ability to download those games. Now, the issue is you are at the mercy of the owner of the digital storefront, and that can change at a moment's notice. Nobody wants to be under the control of whoever owns this digital storefront, and that is something that is a little bit scary. Even if people love Game Newell, even if people love Steam right now, things change. There was a time where you guys, I'm sure, loved a lot of companies, and now you look at them and you're like, man, they are absolutely washed. Man, they are absolutely trash now. Ideally, Steam is never going to go that direction, but you never know what's going to happen. And when you're talking about a digital landscape, it is a little bit scary and daunting to think about. You know, what is the leadership of Valve going to look like 20 years from now? Gabe Newell, unfortunately, is not immortal, and, you know, that is going to raise questions, and people's mindsets just change so much, and just being under control is unfortunate, I know.
Ooh, he's speaking facts. Imagine if Gabe sells Steam to Tencent or something crazy. Like, yo, the amount of changes that will be implemented on Steam would be disgusting. If Gabe ever sells his company, Steam, to any of these corporate companies, man, that's gonna be a sad day in gaming. Look at even what PlayStation is doing with Horizon Zero Dawn, how once they announced the remake or remaster, whatever, the remaster, it's not a remake, when they announced the remaster, look at how they went ahead and bumped the price from $20 to $40. So now if you want to buy the PS4 version of it, right, and then upgrade, you got to spend the $50. You can't go buy the $20 PS4 version and then buy the $10 enhancement and then get it for $30. You got to spend the $50 whether you buy it new or you're buying the upgrade or whatever the case, right? So these companies will play weird games in order to get some money out of you.
I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but it's something to think about. It is something to think about. I am somebody that really does try to live in the moment, and I don't think too much about things that are happening next month, let alone 20 years from now, 10 years from now. But at the same time, these are things that are affecting people now.
That's true.
When you're talking about things like game ownership and games getting revoked, delistings, again, I don't think that's as big of an issue, but it begs into question if they could just delist a game off whim, and, you know, obviously usually it's tied to reasons. They have the power to do so much more. Nobody's reading the terms and services and so on and so forth, and game preservation has been something that has been a consistent discussion point, but it is going to be something very interesting to monitor over the course of the next decade, because this is only escalating at a rapid pace. You look at things like PlayStation 5 Pro not having a disk drive. I damn well guarantee you that it behooves a Sony to try to get rid of that physical landscape as quickly as possible. They want people all digital, and in the case of Sony, it is a much more of a walled garden than it is on PC, which on consoles that could be a little bit of wild territory, especially because Valve has a lot of goodwill with the consumer, and I think Valve has built a lot of goodwill and trust with the consumer.
That's true.
Obviously, you could destroy that goodwill and trust. Sony's been destroying a lot of their goodwill and trust at a pretty rapid pace over the last few years. And the idea
fuck PlayStation
of being beholden to their ecosystem and their whims and doing whatever they want, that would make me a little bit concerned. I ain't gonna lie. Like, if I was beholden to Sony's whims and everything like that, like, I love PlayStation as a console and the history of PlayStation, and I enjoy a lot of their exclusives, but Sony in recent years, especially 2024, 2023, gonna be real. They've been very questionable with their decision making, and
Facts.
It's very much, even more so, not about being consumer friendly. It's about making as much money as possible.
Hey, just to preference this video, I did not pre-watch this video, and I don't think this guy's a part of this whole console war thing. He's just speaking as a gamer. Yeah, he's speaking facts too. Fuck Sony.
When you're talking about entering an ecosystem like that where you are totally under their control, so to speak, in that ecosystem as far as what they do, that could be a little bit concerning. That's all I'm offering to you guys. But it's a very, very slight change, but it makes all the difference in the world as far as game ownership is concerned. So I'm interested to hear what you guys think and what your thought process is going forward. I mean, on PC, this has always been the case. I feel like most of us knew this, that we were always just buying licenses to play games, and that's the case on consoles as well. Even the disc, you know, the crew, as far as the disc goes, the physical media disc, that's worthless as well. That may as well be a coaster. What are you going to do with that? They shut down the online servers. You can't do anything with that as far as that's concerned. But let me know all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. As always, thanks for watching.
Yeah, so, yeah, let me know what you guys think as well in the chat, aka the comment section. Yeah, I think we need more of these politicians to come out. And it doesn't have to be with just gaming. It could be with movies, it could be with music, anything where you're paying a premium price to get access to some type of entertainment or content. We need to be aware of what we're buying. If they promote it as we're buying it and we're having ownership of it, and that's not the case, we need to know as consumers. So yeah, it's that's a big dub for California, and hopefully other states and countries and the U.S. as a whole takes notice of this these weird business practices and does something about it. But with that being said, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next topic of today. So next we got Metaphor ReFantazio reaches an impressive day one milestone. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Persona. I tried it out. I tried Persona 3 Reloaded. And it wasn't even so much the gameplay that kind of turned me off of the game. It was the story. I'm not into the whole we in high school and we're going to class and then by nighttime we're going in these dungeons, and the story didn't do it for me. I was trying my best to get through it and I just couldn't. As a man that was going crazy in high school, had all the baddies in high school, if I'm gonna relive a high school experience, I want to relive my own high school experience. I'm not trying to live as some like random, it's not it. But Atlas Studios, which I believe is the one that made Metaphor and Persona, they went ahead and dropped Metaphor ReFantazio. And when I tell you this game is a chef's kiss, this game, I gotta put a pause on that too real quick. We gotta pause that kiss. Yeah. We're going to move past that. Anyway, this game is a banger, a straight banger. This is the story I'm talking about. I went ahead and copped the physical version of the game for the PS5, and I've been thoroughly enjoying this game. This game, if you are even halfway interested in this game, I recommend you pick it up. This game is a straight banger. And if you don't know if you would be interested in a game like this, they have like a 7 or 8 hour demo that you can play. And when I tell you, if the demo don't do it, I don't know what to say. Let's check out this before you buy. Let's go ahead and break it down.
Gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, Jake, and today we're talking about Metaphor ReFantazio. This game is incredibly significant because it's from publisher Atlas and a development studio made from some of the folks behind Persona, most notably director Katsura Hashino. Now, after Persona 5, they set out to create a new world, a new universe, like a totally different thing, and that is this game, Metaphor. In short, it's like, what if the people behind Persona put their own spin on a fantasy world with knights, mages, kings, dragons, fairies? But of course, it does get a lot more complicated than that. And yes, it's very good. It's great. For fans of these types of JRPGs, Persona lovers, you're in good company here. But I also think it's a good jumping on point for newcomers because it's its own new universe and story, but the team also did not lose sight of what they're good at or make any compromises doing a new thing. So consider this first impressions. And so, I've been playing a review copy, and this footage was captured on PS5, and it's spoiler free. A lot of the gameplay you see here will be from what was the portion that was the demo that was made publicly available, and then a little past that, just to not spoil too much. Now, Metaphor, straight up, is a solid compelling and lengthy JRPG, but it's also a thought-provoking one. But where do I start with the story? There's a lot. So you start as a character you name who is on a quest to save a prince who has been cursed. The king has been killed, and this kingdom is basically in peril as various figures fight for the throne. You set out to assassinate
real
who you think.
And real quick, I'm going to also preface this by saying I am not a fan, like a huge fan of like anime. I've never really been into anime. Boondocks is as far as I go when it goes to anime. But even though this has like an anime style, it's not usually my style. The story is so freaking good. The story is so freaking good. Like it pulls me in, man. It's the writing for this game is top freaking tier. Top freaking tier, man. Let's go ahead and check real quick. Let's go ahead and check the Steam DB for this bad boy. For real. Steam DB Metaphor ReFantazio. I definitely spelled metaphor wrong. I don't even know how to spell ReFantazio. But we gonna figure it out though. Right now, how many players? Player count. Let's do player count. The hell? See, this is why nobody uses Microsoft Edge. Like, this website is awful. 50,000 people, mind you, this is a single player game. Peaked 10 hours ago at 76,000 concurrent players on a single player RPG. When I tell you this game is a freaking banger, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I highly recommend this game for anybody who's halfway interested. And like I said, if you are halfway interested, there's a demo you can play. You can check it out for yourself right now. Literally right now. Let's check out this video a little bit more.
Killed the king, but it quickly gets more complicated as it's revealed that the king had magic in place to help decide the next ruler, and also there's like a coming threat of monsters. This is a fantasy world where they tackle a lot of different socio-political elements. The world is inhabited by a bunch of different clans or races. These are people with horns, different colored eyes, tails, elf ears, you name it. And there's a ton of variety, but nobody is just like a regular old-fashioned human. The citizens of this world are pretty divided, so some groups tolerate others more or less. Some shopkeepers forbid a certain type, stuff like that. Everybody has their own reasons and beliefs and stuff. There are also clear class distinctions, the rich and extreme poverty. There is clearly a lot of world building, specifically with telling a story and having something to say in mind.
Hey, no lie, the way that they built the story is amazing. Like, it's racism in the game, and it's not like racism like reality racism. It's like a satire version of it, you know what I mean? But it's the way they break it down. It just pulls you in. This is such an immersive game, especially for the art style. These art styles usually do not do it for me, for real. But the way that they tell the story is so top freaking tier, man. Like, you are all, just play the demo. Take my word for it. Download the motherfucking demo. Enjoy your 8 hours. And if you can make it through the demo, I promise you're going to buy that game. It's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you like good stories, right, good storytelling, you're going to purchase Metaphor ReFantazio without a shadow of a doubt. But with that being said, we're going to go ahead and move on. Shout out to Metaphor ReFantazio. Shout out to Gamer Ranks for dropping them before you buy. If you're interested in, you know, this type of content, you know, they do before you buys for basically every mainstream game coming out. Go check their channel out. They got 8 million subscribers. Very reputable channel. But let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. So, another new game just dropped recently. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero smashes Steam record for before it's even out. So let's go ahead and check it out. I haven't even played this one yet, so I'm actually curious to see these videos that we're watching. I'm literally watching it live time with y'all, so I really don't know what these videos are even, are even gonna talk about, to be honest. So let's go ahead and check this video out real quick and see what's all the hype behind Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero.
I'm to play it, but one element of this game that I was very interested in observing after the game was officially released is how this game was going to do from a commercial standpoint. If you watched any of my coverage leading up to the release of this game, I often said that I truly believe that this is going to be the most successful anime video game of all time. It'll be the best-selling video game, anime video game of all time, fastest-selling anime video game of all time. It'll be one of the best-selling video games of all time, and I want this game to do incredibly well from a commercial standpoint. I want there to be this adulation. I want there to be this immense level of success, especially with the level of quality that they've delivered with Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Take the Metacritic score of an 83 or an 84 as what it is. The reception from the consumer base, which I'll get into in a second, has been outstandingly positive. However, we finally have the first measurable data, and I'll give you guys some comparison points so you can understand how successful of a game Sparking Zero is currently. So the data we do have available is the advanced access concurrent player count. Remember, Sparking Zero is not officially released. The official release is on October the 11th, technically tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time, but the date that they're promoting is October 11th. It is in the advanced access period where if you do spend $100, you get access to the game early, or $110 for the Ultimate Edition. That edition also gives you the season pass. So not everybody is playing the game. However, we have some comparison points of Sparking Zero in comparison to other anime video games.
So I would like to say, so far the game looks, graphically the game looks good. My issue is, like I said about Metaphor ReFantazio, I've never been into the animes. Like, I liked Dragon Ball Z as a kid. I did. But I grew out of it. Like, I stopped tracking it. I stopped paying attention to the story. Like, the most I can tell you about Dragon Ball Z is about Vegeta, Goku, the little kid versions of them or whatever. I don't know none of the story. Can't remember none of the characters. So like when I see it, I have no personal investment, and the only thing that I'm basing the game off of is the gameplay. And like the part that's intriguing me about the game is it's like it looks kind of like hub worldish, but then it looks like a Street Fighter kind of like arcade fighter game, and it's got like an infusion of both. So, like, that's the part that's kind of gripping me a little bit. If you guys have played the game, let me know in the comment section below. Would you recommend it? Or let me know in the chat. Let a brother know. Because I'm definitely on the fence when it comes to Dragon Ball.
To other Dragon Ball titles and other major fighting titles and other games that have advanced access. So there's a lot of data that's available that we can compare Sparking Zero to, and you have to remember that anime video games are not generally the most successful video games ever. Sparking Zero is going to be a totally different story because I truly believe there's so many things going for it in terms of the nostalgia, the remembrance of Budokai Tenkaichi, and people just loving Dragon Ball as an IP. And a game that is doing Akira Toriyama absolute justice as far as this game release. And I think Toriyama would just be absolutely proud of seeing how this game is being received. But again, it's in advanced access, and as far as Steam concurrent player count goes, the game has had an all-time peak since its release of 91,005 players. That is, as I am recording this video, 91,005 players. Remember that this is the style of game that is going to do better on PlayStation 5. I just think that goes without saying. Sparking Zero is a game that's catered towards, I wouldn't say a console audience, but a PlayStation audience. I do believe it's PlayStation 5 first, then it's PC, then it's Xbox.
Oh, that's facts. One, because this is a Japanese, IP. Two, because more casuals are on PlayStation than PC. And so, casuals, everybody knows about Dragon Ball. I don't care if you are a video game player or not. I can go to my ex right now who couldn't name not one video game I be playing. I'll be playing that shit right in front of her face. She couldn't even tell you the name of that motherfucker. But if I ask her, do you know about Dragon Ball Z? She's going to say, yeah. Dragon Ball Z is a household name. I would even argue Dragon Ball Z is the biggest anime out. Like, period. It's household. So, you know, it's definitely going to do much better on PlayStation than even PC because more casuals are on the PlayStation.
Series. That's why I think adding cross-platform play will be incredibly advantageous and would be incredibly advantageous to people on other platforms. But 91,000 concurrent players, that means 91,000 people playing on PC only in advanced access. It hasn't been officially released in advanced access. So how does that 91,000 number compare to other major titles? Let me just say, it's incredibly positive. Let's look at other major fighting games that have been released in recent memory. Street Fighter 6 all-time peak was 70,573. That is Street Fighter, one of the biggest IPs on the planet. 70,500.
It's not bigger than Dragon Ball. Let's continue.
103, and it hit that date back on May 29th of 2023. And Street Fighter 6 had an all-time peak of 70,573 concurrent players. So Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, in its advanced access period, is already considerably higher. Like, we're talking considerably higher than Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter is one of the longest reigning fighting game franchise, so it being considerably above that when it comes to PC concurrent players in advanced access, that is incredibly impressive. How about Tekken 8, another franchise with a great lineage attached to it? Well, that game peaked at 49,977 players. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is damn near double that peak of what Tekken 8 did. How does it compare to other anime titles and other Dragon Ball games? Well, let's look at Dragon Ball FighterZ. That game, again, this game, FighterZ, did not have an advanced access period. It peaked at 44,303 players right around launch. How about Dragon Ball Kakarot? Totally different style game, not a fighting game. That peaked at 25,852 players. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is almost 4x of Kakarot in its advanced access period. This game is a resounding success. You want to look at other anime titles? Naruto Storm 4 peaked at an 8,400 number, and that's its all-time peak. This game is an outstanding success, and you guys, we are still in the advanced access period. I don't think a lot of you guys are going to comprehend how insane this is. Let's take a look at Silent Hill 2. Silent Hill 2 is a recent release game that also had the advanced access gimmick attached to it. So, in the advanced access period of Silent Hill 2, the game peaked at 12,905 players. So Sparking Zero, in comparison to Silent Hill 2's advanced access period, which Sparking Zero is also in advanced access right now, so I feel like this is a fair comparison to make, Sparking Zero is damn near 8x of what Silent Hill 2 was.
I think it's unfair to compare it to Silent Hill 2. Like, come on. This is a little bit of a stretch now. This is a little bit of a stretch. You comparing Dragon Ball Z to Silent Hill 2. Now, from a video game perspective, Silent Hill is a well-known game within, like, the survival horror genre. It's like a must-play game if you're into this survival horror genre, right? Especially the remake, especially the one that just came out. It's like Resident Evil's little stepbrother, stepsister, right? But you can't compare Dragon Ball Z to Silent Hill. The IP value alone is getting destroyed. Dragon Ball Z has TV shows, movies. Silent Hill has a video game. Don't even have a TV show, let alone a movie. So yeah, that's like an unfair comparison. The IP value is nowhere even close. When you look at it from a video game perspective, Silent Hill 2 is a good game, but it still ain't messing with Dragon Ball. Come on now. That's a little bit of a stretch.
How much did Silent Hill 2 go up when it was officially released? Well, it went from a peak of 12,905 all the way up to 23,676 to give you guys a gauge of how much a game elevates its concurrent player count after the official release does happen. Now, I think Sparking Zero is a case where so many people like myself are desperate to play this game in the advanced access period that they're just going to pick it up right away in terms of getting the deluxe edition. However, I will throw this, and this is a very important element. Steam has a significant promotional muscle attached to it, and when Silent Hill 2 officially came out, like outside of advanced access, Steam gave it the banner treatment where Silent Hill 2 got a huge banner on Steam's front page. I would have to imagine the same thing is going to happen for Sparking Zero come tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern time, and that is going to be a huge promotional plus. You cannot undersell the promotional muscle that Steam has. I actually do appreciate that they don't glorify and over-promote games in the advanced access period. Rather, they wait for the game to be officially out, and then, you know, people that want to pay the regular $70 are being promoted and inundated with that game. But Silent Hill 2 getting the banner treatment, I think, elevated that game's exposure. Sparking Zero is going to have the same thing come 6 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, and I am very curious where the concurrent player count goes as far as a peak. And let me reiterate, even...
I'll say top is going to double, because Dragon Ball Z is even though it's such a popular IP, it's still niche. Like, the video games are niche as hell. The IP is huge as a whole, but the video game itself is very niche. So, like, I would say right now it's at 90,000, or when he made this video a few days ago, was at 90,000. I would say it's going to be like 200K. 200K. I could see it hitting. Matter of fact, the game came out today, right? No, it came out yesterday. So let's go ahead and pull up the Steam DB for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. We're going to check that out too, because I'm curious to see, now that it's been out for a day, what is the all-time peak of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, because it was at 90K during the early access period. Let's see where it's at now. Steam DB. Let's see. Okay. So when it came out, it hit 122. I thought it was going to double. But still, for a Dragon Ball Z game, 122,000 concurrent players? That's huge. That's huge. I'm on the fence. Like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get it. I'm going to wait for a sale, though, because I'm not a huge Dragon Ball fan. So, like, all the fan part of it, the fan service that they do, it doesn't really hit me the same. But because the game has been getting such, look at this shit. This shit got a 92 overall rating on Steam. To get a 92 overall rating with 23,000 upvotes out of 24,000, oh my gosh, that's incredible. It's 96,000 people playing right now as we speak. That's crazy. That's more than the early access period. So yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to check this bad boy out. I can't let this one slide by me. Even though I'm not a huge Dragon Ball fan, I can't let this one slide by me. So let me know if you guys are playing it, or if you are thinking about copping it as well. Let me know in the comment section, aka the chat. Shout out to Game Cross. If you enjoyed this video, go check their channel out. They make some pretty good videos. Pretty reputable channel. With that being said, we're going to be, shout out to Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. We're going to be moving on to the next topic. So, Amazon Prime is going to be giving out free games for October. So if you are, if you have Amazon, this is some free game. If you have Amazon Prime, just some free games for the, to cop. Just want to give you guys a reminder. I think it's important to get this free stuff while we can, because it shows these companies we like free stuff. So the free games for October from Amazon Prime is going to be BioShock Remastered, which I definitely will be checking that out. Doom Eternal, you got to cop it on the Microsoft Store. And just another quick preference, you have to be on PC in order to get these games, just to let you know. But you got BioShock Remastered, Doom Eternal, Dread Out 2, Ghostbusters, Spirits Unleashed, Hive Jump 2, No Straight Roads, Priest Simulator, Scarf, Spirit North, The Eternal, The Gap, Tomb Raider Legend, Killing Floor 2, Mystery Box, Hidden Secrets, Through the Darkest of Times, Vlad Circus, Descend into Madness, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, and Ghoul Patrol. I don't know what the hell that is. Monster Train, Morbid the Seven Acolytes, Pumpkin Jack, Stasis Bone Totem, The Gunk, The Plague Tale Innocence, great game. Koromon, Death's Door, another great game. Haunted Hotel Personal Nightmare Collector's Edition, and Scorn. So if you have a PC and you have Amazon Prime, don't forget your free games of October. That being said, we're going to move on to the next topic. So we got Red Dead Redemption 1 Steam price revealed. I think it's going to be going for a solid $59.99. Let's go ahead and check out the trailer for Red Dead Redemption, the PC release.
Hello, old friend. It's been a long time.
This country is infested with all manner of scum.
Good day, sir. Madam. Look at me, scrambling around, half insane.
Now, first I want to say, it don't really look like they did too much of a visual overhaul. It looks like they might have polished it up a little bit, unlocked a little frame rate. I don't see it running very hard or anything like that. But I'm going to definitely be checking this out. Reason being, I just beat Red Dead Redemption 2 again on PC. And when I tell you, such a phenomenal game. Like, when I tell you that game had me by the balls, even playing it in 2024, I might have to beat that once a year. That might be one of those games you just got to play once a year. Just to remind yourself why you love gaming. That's one of those games. You play that game to remind yourself why you love gaming. But Red Dead Redemption 1, and this comes with the Undead Nightmare DLC. I remember as a kid playing Red Dead Redemption, and I used to approach it like Grand Theft Auto. I would never play the story. Like, I might go do the story missions if I'm close to it. But I would just run around and fuck with people and kill animals and just do stupid stuff, right? Just see what I can get into. So I don't remember if I ever beat the game or not. I had it on Xbox 360. I don't remember if I ever beat the game. So the fact that it's coming to PC officially, I think you can play it through an emulator right now. But you can play it officially on Steam October 29th. This is definitely a day one cop for me. I just beat Red Dead Redemption 2, so I'm going to go back and see what John Marston's story is looking like. I got to refresh myself. It's been over 10 years since I played Red Dead Redemption or even the Undead Nightmare. So, yeah, I'm going to go back and check that out. I'm very much so looking forward to it. The only issue is we all know the history that Rockstar has had with these damn PC ports of these old games. So I hope this doesn't fall victim to that. You know, I'm going to try to forget about the Grand Theft Auto trilogy. I'm going to try to forget about that, you know. But, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Red Dead Redemption, man. Let me know if you guys are copping in the comment section, a.k.a. the chat. And we're going to move on to the next topic, kind of speed run these last couple topics. So, this is gaming, but not really gaming. TikTok is being sued by multiple U.S. states. 13 states to be precise. So TikTok been catching so much smoke. TikTok has been catching so much freaking smoke. So let's see what the hell TikTok then did to piss off the United States again. Let's check this out.
States across the U.S. are joining forces to hold social media app TikTok accountable for its addictive content. A bipartisan group of 14 state attorneys general filed a lawsuit today alleging that TikTok violates consumer protection laws and exploits young users. The lawsuit said
that is facts. I mean, they do. TikTok is addictive as fuck. And to be given this addictive platform to kids at such a young development age, and like they're so influential. Let's see what else they talking about. We got to get some more information before we comment too much.
As TikTok is designed to keep children on the app for as long as possible, despite the dangers of that compulsive use. CBS News senior business and technology correspondent Jolene Kent joins us live now. Jolene, thanks for so much for being with us. What's the argument against TikTok, and how does the lawsuit claim it exploits children?
Well, let's be clear. This is multiple lawsuits coming from individual states' attorney general filed in state court. The idea here is each of these attorneys general are working together under the leadership of California Attorney General Rob Bonta and Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York. And what they're doing is they're coming together to go after TikTok, saying that the algorithm is addictive and the content is harmful and the product is specifically designed to harm children and create a profit off of that. So
now, my issue with what they're trying to say is this true? Is it true that TikTok is harming kids more than any other social media platform? Or is this like a political pushback against China? That's my issue with this, right? Because we all know the U.S. has had a hard on to crush TikTok, at least in America, for a few years now. So we have to keep that in the back of our mind when we see this. Like, is this just more evidence to build up to the ultimate ban of TikTok if they don't sell their company to a U.S. company or whatever the case may be, right? Is this what that pressure is? Or is it genuinely harming kids more than any other social media platform? And because a lot of these content creators on these platforms make content on other social media platforms, I can't definitively say that TikTok itself is more harmful to kids than any other social media platform. All these platforms, you have to technically be 18 years old of age to make an account, but they don't check IDs. So all kids have to do is do the math in their head real quick, come up with the year that would allow them to be 18, and then now they're on the app. Now, TikTok is addictive as hell, but I wouldn't say like it's necessarily more exploitive as what they're trying to say than like YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. So let's see what else they got to say.
What we've heard is, so far in California, this has been filed in Santa Clara County Superior Court, and the action alleges that TikTok exploits and harms young users and deceives the public about the social media platforms' actual dangers here. AG Bonta today saying in a statement, our investigation has revealed that TikTok cultivates social media addiction to boost corporate profits. TikTok intentionally targets, he says, children because they know kids do not yet have the defenses or capacity to create healthy boundaries around addictive content. Now, of course, we wanted to get TikTok's response to this lawsuit. It is it's a dozen lawsuits in a spate of lawsuits over the past several years against TikTok. TikTok's spokesperson coming out with a statement this morning saying in part, we strongly disagree with these claims, many of which we believe to be inaccurate and misleading. TikTok goes on to say we provide robust safeguards, proactively remove suspected underage users, and we have voluntarily launched safety features such as default screen time limits, family pairing, privacy by default for minors under 16. They say that they were trying to work with these state AGs for 2 years, and TikTok calls it incredibly disappointing that they have reached this point in this crossroads. So what we know, though, in terms of zooming out in the broader context, is that this is one of many lawsuits that TikTok, Meta, and others are facing from not just federal courts now, but they're also facing them in state courts. The idea, according to sources familiar with these lawsuits, they're telling us that the idea is not only to try to change laws locally and federally to help kids, but also to go after these companies to seek injunctive relief and other types of action to stop what they allege is harmful behavior against children.
Now, Joel,
I mean, my thing with that is, does this cross the line of government interference? Because, okay, yeah, it's an issue if these companies are selling our information, it's not letting us know. That's an issue. Anything that harms that personal user, right? That's an issue. But with that being said, social media platforms are exactly what the name says. They're social platforms where people can come together, share ideas, share content, share their creations. And so, how far do we let the government control that? Right? If I want to make a certain type of content, say if I make a video that's 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours long, right? And I want to share that with you, but then the government has placed a regulation that only allows a user to be on a platform for 30 minutes at a time because the platform is too addictive. Should people be allowed to consume a 3-4 hour video without worrying about government interference? I don't know. That's a good question. So I get where they're coming from, but at the same time, something don't seem right about these lawsuits, man. It's just the information of the selling of information, personal information. I get it. You're selling our personal information to marketers or these companies who are putting these ads in front of our face. Like, have you ever went on Google and then typed in like, hey, let's say I want to buy a DualSense controller, and then you get on YouTube or not even that, you get on whatever, you get on Facebook, you're scrolling down and then you see a PlayStation ad. Like, you see little things like that, right? So that's an issue. But as far as controlling the amount of time people can be on social media, that's a little bit invasive to me.
If TikTok loses this legal battle, what consequences might the company face? Would they have to change their algorithm?
Well, there's a lot going on with TikTok that is beyond just this lawsuit, right? So first of all, this lawsuit is going to take years. The soonest we would probably see this, say, the California version of this lawsuit in court, possibly early 2026, according to a source directly familiar with the situation. And so there's going to be a lot of litigation leading up to any possible trial. The bigger picture, though, of course, is that President Biden back in April signed a law to have TikTok divested by its Chinese parent company ByteDance or face a ban in the United States. That particular law is also being challenged in court by both TikTok and the U.S. and by TikTok. And so when you look at that picture, that federal piece of the pie is going to also affect how TikTok and how their situation in each of these state courts is interpreted, without a doubt. So it could be that this lawsuit doesn't even see the light of day if TikTok is indeed banned from the United States, but that's another long legal battle that we expect to go on for quite some time and unlikely to hit the deadline of next year that was originally proposed by Congress. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. Everything moves very slow when it comes to suing these companies, but we do know that this is yet another major step, not just against TikTok, but we've also seen lawsuits against the parent company of Instagram and Facebook, Meta, and many others, facing more and more legal repercussions and challenges.
All right, Jolene Kent, thanks so much for breaking it all down, a bigger concept of all of this.
And it's real quick, too, as well. It's funny how in these lawsuits, they forget to mention how many jobs these platforms create. It's a lot of people that live off of the money and the ad revenue and the sponsors that come from these platforms. These platforms have kind of derailed like what even like you would consider the American dream, right? People are able to work for themselves. People are able to take the conversations that revolve, whether it be around politics, entertainment, whatever, sports, they're able to take those conversations and put the power back into the people, right? So now we don't have to worry about these news sites like this or these news channels, CBS, NBC, CNN, ESPN. We don't have to worry about these platforms being the one that's pushing narratives. People control the narrative. Regular people can get on the social media platform, upload a video, and then gain an audience or talk to people that relate to them, right? So if these platforms start to disappear or they become more regulated, how will that affect jobs, right? How would that affect self-employed people? So that's an interesting conversation to have. I just wanted to put that on the spotlight and it interested me, so I decided to put it on the podcast. But with that being said, we're going to be moving on to the next topic. So, Bungie begins the game Marathon playtesting. They have invited out some content creators, and they have begun testing. So we're going to see. I don't think anybody has really came out and said anything publicly just yet, or if they're even allowed to come out and say anything publicly. But let's check out what's going on. If I can find here we go. Okay. So Bungie has seemingly commenced playtests for its upcoming live service extraction shooter Marathon. Gaming influencers and content creators have apparently been visiting Bungie's headquarters to try out the Marathon and likely provide feedback on it. Marathon was announced in summer 2023 as a revival of Bungie's long dormant but well-regarded first-person shooter series from the 1990s, where the original Marathon games were campaign-heavy. Though the upcoming reboot is a live service title that draws inspiration from extraction shooters like Escape from Tarkov, new directions aren't uncommon rebooting franchises. But Marathon's reputation has taken a hit due to its troubled development, with rumors of misconduct, creative leads exiting, potential delays, and more. Although unconfirmed rumors suggest Bungie is internally targeting a 2025 release window for Marathon, the recent reports of Marathon sporting a $40 price tag lend further credence to this, as pricing is usually worked out in the back half of development. A 2025 launch seems likelier now, as Bungie has started inviting content creators and influencers to playtest Marathon. YouTuber Hidden Xperia recently announced on Twitter that he's been playing Marathon at Bungie's all week alongside an image of a custom Marathon ID tag. Okay, so they got guys out right now playing. More content creators have yet to come forward and confirm their involvement in the Marathon playtest, but Hidden Xperia initial impressions seem promising. Well, I mean, what do you expect the man to say? Like, he's at the event. You think he's going to go on Twitter and be like, y'all, this shit is ass. No, he's going to kiss they ass and bootlick a little bit, so he gets invited to come back another day while the event is going on, and to be invited to future events. Of course he's going to bootlick. You can't trust nothing this guy is going to say about Marathon anytime soon, because he is getting that special treatment. So to say his impressions are promising is very misleading, because he is getting invited to this event. You can't trust nothing this man's. He's going to be doing if this game is ass, he's going to be doing toxic positivity up until the NDA is released, and shit, he might even never say nothing bad about this game, because he appreciates Bungie so much for inviting him out and allowing him to play the game and giving him whatever else special treatment he gets. He's going to appreciate that so much. He's not going to have nothing negative to say about Bungie. So, let's check out some of these art style clips. Looks like these are clips from the trailer. My thing with Bungie is, and with Marathon, is that I don't really like the art style. Am I the only one that feels that way? Like, look at this. This doesn't look fun to me. This looks like generic. Like, every time I see this game, I don't feel like I could get immersed in it. I don't feel like it's something that I would want to play repetitively. I might check it out, but I definitely would check it out and be open. But like, I just got to see more of the world building. This doesn't look like good world building to me. This looks very generic. There's like, it's all white with splashes of color, and none of it makes sense to me. And then when you go back and look at the OG Marathon, let's go back and look at the OG Marathon real quick. When you go back and look at the OG Marathon, it looks nothing like the OG. It looks nothing like the OG. This is the OG marathon game. Look at this. This don't look nothing like the reboot. It still has that sci-fi element. This reminds me more. This reminds me more of like a. What would this remind me of? I couldn't even, honestly, it's got its own flavor to it. It's got its own flavor, but what they doing right now with this reboot is not this. This is I don't know why they're literally trying to pull on nostalgia, because I don't know why they would name a game that started out like this and then start making a game that looked like this and call it a reboot. I don't see any similarities outside of there being guns. Outside of that, I don't see any enemy types. It don't look like any story beats. It looks like a totally different game. So I'm curious to see what they do with Bungie. Definitely gonna keep my ears open to the streets. And yeah, they're doing playtests, so it looks like they're moving forward in development, and it's in a state where they can at least show it to the public on a private level. So yeah, we're gonna keep our ears open to the streets when it comes to Bungie. But with that being said, we're moving on to the next topic. So Assassin's Creed Black Flag is getting a remake, which I'm super excited for, because I definitely am a fan of the old school Assassin's Creed. So let's dive into it. Let's see what's going on with Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake.
He just got off stream like an hour or so ago, and of course right then a breaking news story hits from Insider Gaming, and naturally I want to talk about it with you and get this out before I put the big kind of comprehensive video out tomorrow morning covering the buyout potential from Tencent and this all-in-one go. But to put it pretty simply, I mean, the article just says exclusive AC Black Flag remake is closer than you think, and he outlines of course it's Tom Henderson, the one and only, but he outlines that he's gotten further reporting and further insider knowledge right here. When rumors of the AC Black Flag remake began to circulate on the internet, many, including ourselves, assumed that the game would still be some years away from releasing. However, new details and documentation on the game sent to Insider Gaming under the condition that it does not go public suggest that the game is well into development and could be released much sooner than we thought.
Ooh,
now, when this first dropped, I think like late last year, I want to say, we all just assumed, okay, so they're just starting on it now. And this, to be specific, this is coming from the team in Singapore. So this is coming from the team that did Skull and Bones. So the assumption was, okay, they finished Skull and Bones, they got that out earlier this year, and now they're like starting on the remake, and so it's still probably 3 years away or 4 years away. Apparently not. Apparently it is actually coming much sooner, and they're expecting it next year. At least they were before these delays. In fact, prior to the recent AC Shadows delay, which is understood to have affected the AC pipeline of content releases, the AC Black Flag remake, codenamed Obsidian, was to be released around November of 2025, which would be around the same time as the series' multiplayer offering, codenamed Invictus, which they're also slating, it's estimated probably late next year. Now, this would mean their plan was to do a single player offering and a multiplayer offering at the same time, or at least roughly close to each other, which initially you might be like, why would they release 2 Assassin's Creed games at the same time? I actually think this, if this is true, is a very good idea, because...
Well, my thing is this. Assassin's Creed Shadows was supposed to be dropping this year, and they pushed it back to next year. Having 3 Assassin's Creed games come out in 1 year? Is that Assassin's Creed overload? Like, that's a little bit much. I mean, one of those games out of the 3 will be a multiplayer game, so I'll give them that. But 2 story-driven Assassin's Creed games in 1 year? Come on now. It doesn't make sense. I definitely think they're going to be pushing Black Flag to earliest 2026. Why would they drop Assassin's Creed Shadows and then turn around and drop Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remake? Especially if Assassin's Creed Shadows don't hit, that will affect Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Especially if Assassin's Creed Invictus, which is their multiplayer game, doesn't hit, that will affect Assassin's Creed Black Flag. So we have to, I don't know if they're going to be releasing. I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I see this being definitely a 2026 release.
There is a large number of AC fans who I think, even with knowledge of things like Hexe and of course the Black Flag remake and other things they're doing, even with that knowledge, I think there's a lot of people who, when they see a multiplayer AC game, even if it's really good, will immediately be like, look what they've done. Look what they've done to our favorite franchise. Oh God, here we go. The collapse of Ubisoft, and people lose their minds. So I think pairing it with a single player offering is actually not a bad idea. And I think there are examples of other franchises who have done similar stuff. I mean, obviously Ubisoft has done dual releases before. They did, I believe it was Unity and Rogue released almost at the exact same time, because Unity was supposed to be the next gen game and then Rogue was going to be the last gen game, so they could sell to both platforms at the same time. Unfortunately, it kind of meant that Rogue was forgotten by a lot of gamers and overlooked, and then on the flip side, Unity got so much attention because it was so rushed to hit that launch window that it like just consumed all of the discussion and discourse. But that's it's a tale for another time. But this, I think, in concept, is a really, really good idea. Apologies if you hear a rumbling above me. That is the Roomba. She is vacuuming the floor vents above this this studio, and so you might hear an occasional brrr as she rolls over. But I think this is a good idea. If this ends up being the case, if they do launch a Black Flag remake at the same time as the multiplayer game, I think that's a great way to assuage concerns that AC is going multiplayer or Ubisoft is just trying to milk the franchise, whatever. If you compare it with a love letter to fans and a multiplayer offering that's probably built to cash in on the franchise, let's be honest, then that could kill two birds with one stone, make the single player fans happy and keep the multiplayer fans, though there probably aren't any really actively, but at the very least it could introduce Shadows? That to a a new audience, but the core audience, the old audience, will be happy. So if that ends up being the case, that I think is a really, really good idea. And if anybody at Ubisoft sees this, I'm just telling you, whether this is the plan or not, that should be the plan as far as I'm concerned. I think it will go over much better if you announce the Black Flag remake and then you announce the Invictus project and you're like, they're going to come at the same time, so single player fans will have something, multiplayer fans will have something else, but everybody will be happy. Everybody's getting, dessert.
It's funny, he's forgetting about Shadows. But if when you take his point as far as having the side-by-side release, yeah, I definitely think that's a good idea. Have a whole game specifically for multiplayer, have a whole game specifically for single player, and then release them side by side, whether that's Shadows and Invictus or Black Flag and Invictus. I definitely think that's a good idea. I think that will satisfy a lot of people. When was the last time we had a good Assassin's Creed multiplayer game? It's been a while. So yeah, I definitely see that being a positive for Ubisoft.
Everybody's getting served. I think, whoops, wrong button. I think that's the way to do it. So I think that's a good idea. Insider Gaming understands that this is part of Ubisoft's ramp-up strategy for AC as a series, which will see around 10 Assassin's Creed games of various lengths and experiences released in the next 5 years.
They said 10 games in 5 years? 10 Assassin's Creed games in 5 years? How's this gonna work? That's a lot of freaking... Bruh. That's a lot of stealth. That's a lot of stealth. That's a lot of stabbing motherfuckers in the back, hiding in the bush. 10... That's an odd release schedule. That's weird. That's odd. Why rush all that shit? Why rush 10 of them out in 5 years? It makes no sense. What the hell?
includes AC codenamed Jade, a fully fledged mobile offering with a tentative release date in Q2 of 2025, which would be fiscal year Q1 of 2026. Now, we talked a little bit about AC Jade on the stream just earlier today. It's really bizarre. It was supposed to be out, and by all accounts, it looked really, really good, but Tencent pulled most of the team off of it to go work on their like Fall Guys spin-off. Not even spin-off, it's more of a rip-off, but they're working on that because apparently that's printing money elsewhere. And I wonder, as part of the discussions of a potential buyout, if Tencent is going to try to get lower royalty fees and stuff on that project, because I do think Jade, based on the leaked footage I've seen, I have not had the chance to play it myself, though they did do a play test, but the footage I saw just straight up looked like AC Odyssey, but running on a phone. It was very, very impressive, and I'm sure it's going to be monetized impressively so as well. But if that footage remains and that quality remains the same, I think that that actually could be a really cool thing, and I do think it'll make a crap ton of money, especially in Eastern markets like China and Japan and South Korea, where mobile gaming is much more common than in the US for these types of games, at least. But they have this, they have of course the Black Flag remake, Jade, they have Shadows, they have Hexe, they have Invictus, they have probably a VR game or something. It's rumored they have like an AC1 remake in the works. Like, there's all sorts of rumors going around of what they're working on, but it's very, very clear Ubisoft is putting all of their eggs in the AC basket, because it's the one thing that so far has consistently been successful for them, which is part of the reason why the AC Shadows delay was so striking. But as you see, they go on. Unfortunately, though, the recent AC Shadows delay, which Marc-Alexis Cote said to staff in an internal email, quote, will also impact the rest of the AC roadmap, end quote. And this may have skewed the release dates a little. That being said, to some, the Black Flag remake is probably coming a few years earlier than some of us may have expected. And then this is interesting. Gameplay sent to Insider Gaming of the Black Flag remake, under the condition that it does not go public, shows Edward Kenway sailing on a ship on the upgraded Anvil engine. And this is one thing where they're sending gameplay, and at the very least he didn't feel the need to, I guess, like say the gameplay looked really, really bad or looked really rough or didn't look like a big upgrade at all, what have you. But one thing that I have heard is that the new Anvil engine is meant to be scalable like this. It's meant to be able to take what you did before and then enhance it fairly easily. Now, one thing I do want to give them credit for is the game does look really good. This is footage from the Rad Brad. Sorry, my Ring doorbell's going off for whatever reason. But the game does look pretty good. Specifically the water, I think the cloth sim on the sails, all of that is pretty impressive. This is PS5 footage that you're seeing right now, but on PC it especially scales pretty well. It's pretty graphically impressive. So my understanding is that they're basically just taking this like Black Flag thing that they have, and then they're putting it through the new Anvil machine, which is the new engine that they have. And then the goal is that the new Anvil engine can basically just upgrade individual parts of it fairly straightforward. It shouldn't require a whole lot of reinvention or rebuilding from the ground up or anything.
Hey, I played Skull and Bones. That shit is a 2-pack of ass. Shout out to Joe Budden for that quotable, forever quotable. That shit is a 2-pack of ass. But one thing I will give it is it does look good. It's a good looking game. But as far as anything else dealing with that shit is a 2-pack of straight booty cheeks. Shout out to Big Grime. He says bring back Rainbow Six Vegas. I highly agree with you. It's crazy how much time I used to put into Rainbow Six Vegas 2. That was the shit back in the day. I missed that game. Hopefully they bring, man, if they do a remake of Rainbow Six Vegas 2, boy, we gonna be in there for real. Yeah, definitely bring that back, Ubisoft. But I'm curious to see what they do with the remake. The good thing about Ubisoft and doing remakes, you remove a lot of their creativity, which is kind of a good thing because they've been kind of missing lately when it comes to creativity. A lot of their products and games have been very assembly line filling, meaning that they have a list of checks that they have to hit, and they just go down the line and just hit checks. They don't put no heart and soul into their games. But with Black Flag, all they got to do is remake the game and make it look better. So I hope we get that. I hope we get a game that's the same as what it was. Just make it look pretty, and we'll be satisfied. So yeah, I'm definitely curious to see what they do with that bad boy. But shout out to Luke Stevens on the breakdown. Yeah, go check out his channel though. Go check out his channel. My man is doing his thing. Go check out his channel. We're going to be moving on to the next topic. So 343 has made some pretty major changes to Halo. One of those changes being moving to the Unreal Engine 5, which I cannot wait to see Halo in Unreal Engine 5. I cannot wait. That's going to be a banger. That's going to be a bang just on a visual level. I don't know how it's going to be gameplay wise. On a visual level, that shit going to look amazing. But let's go ahead and see this trailer that they dropped on IGN. Let's see the breakdown of this.
Chris Matthews, take one. Mark. This is Casey Wu, take one. Mark.
I was told that I can just be my authentic self, Chris.
For 6 years, I don't want to be in front of a camera.
There's so much to do and so much fun to be had when you play Halo that I feel like I never run out of things to do.
I love intricate stories that take place across lots of different worlds, have lots of different meaningful characters.
What made Halo successful at the beginning?
We got the purple hair. That's a moment for real. That's a moment.
What is the legacy of Halo, and what's the soul that we want to bring forward, and what's the craft of making Halo games, and how do we set our studio at best to go deliver on that?
We knew we had to make a change in order to take us into the future.
When I first heard about Halo moving on Unreal Engine, my first thought was, this is going to be a really hard secret to keep.
I think fans are going to be excited about the future of Halo because of the possibilities that are afforded us by using Unreal.
Before, we really had to split our focus in thinking about building an engine, supporting it, being really kind of a tech company and a studio at the same time. Since we've made the change to shift to UE, we can bring Halo forward in ways that people have never seen before while still being true to what Halo is.
You know what's crazy? I think the fact that Halo Infinite wasn't a bad game. It was half-baked. And what's crazy is, as they're talking about moving to the Unreal Engine 5, I'm thinking, like, imagine if they were able to be on Unreal Engine 5 with Halo Infinite. Will we have got more content? Because when they're bringing people into these studios, at least to 343, they had to train people on how to use that engine that Halo is running on. People are not coming into 343 with the knowledge of how to build a Halo game. They don't know how to use the engine, right? And that's a whole process in itself. And then when they finally get familiar with the engine, they have to know how to do a good job with it, right? So you got to teach them how to use it, and then you got to hope that they can make good, get good results using an engine that they're really not familiar with like that. So the fact they're moving to Unreal Engine 5, that opens them up to a whole pool of prospects that can come in the door, be familiar with what they're doing engine-wise, and that will allow them to push out more content, because Halo Infinite was half-baked. It was half-baked, man. And I think it was based on skill set. I don't think it was based on talent. It was based on skill set. People didn't know how to use that engine.
Project was an effort to show ourselves how far we can push things using Unreal 5.
New studio art director, Chris, came to me and said, hey, I have this crazy idea.
He said, hey, there's this thing called Project Foundry that I want to do. Let's make it happen.
Foundry specifically is based around the same concept of the Foundry in Halo lore. It's the place where Halo rings are born.
That should look amazing. What?
It's not a game, it's a research project for our studio so we can prepare ourselves for the next steps of making Halo games.
Bro, this shit
The
about to
original
look
Halo
crazy.
franchise was a graphics showcase. It was best in class. That's what Halo was when it first was released, and that's what Halo needs to be again.
That's true. That's true. I remember the first time I played Halo 3, I couldn't believe. And at the time, I had a box TV. I had them old TVs with a box on the back of it that was using the red, yellow, and white cable. Man, I couldn't believe my eyes when I seen Halo 3 for the first time. And think about the last time we got that experience with a Halo game where we looked at it and we was like, yo, this shit looks next gen. We haven't had that experience in a long time. So moving to Halo to Unreal Engine 5, hopefully they could. That's a part of the Halo experience. Looking at the game and your jaw dropping. Pause. Your jaw dropping to the floor. We haven't had that in a minute, just based on visuals.
So once Project Foundry had been approved, we took the entire creative team and we ideated on 3 locations, something old, something new, and something really alien.
We had the Pacific Northwest, which is sort of traditional Halo biome.
We were trying to shove as much foliage in there as humanly possible to make it really feel like you're on a hike in the, Cascades.
The Cold Lands, which was the second biome that we took on, it was more of a technical showcase where we could play with shaders, we could play with deformable landscapes and terrains. Unreal affords us more opportunity than we've ever had in the past.
On the surface, it might just look all like snow, but how many layers of things combine to really give that winter look?
And then our third biome was the Blightlands, which is
That shit look
any
crazy.
land that's been
What?
completely taken over by the flood.
I wanted to give our team the opportunity to really express an alien world, a really alien world, taking something way further than they may have actually done in previous Halo games.
What's impressed me about watching the Halo team work in Unreal is how beautiful everything looks, how incredible the environments look. I don't think we've seen anything quite like it in Unreal Engine before.
Fortunately, we have a studio that's really passionate about Halo, about the look and the feel, and I think there's a lot of hunger to really collaborate, to move forward together.
Foundry was an initiative that touched on every part of the creative process, everything from concept art, VFX, characters, vehicles, and weapons to make the future games of Halo.
Creating an asset, taking this design, now we can really dig into material foundations. What is it actually made of? How is it physically accurate to the world? Now we get to take all the wonderful legacy assets that we have, bring them to life, and bring them to today's standards.
We are really excited to be not just working on multiple projects, but also expanding our studio.
As a lifelong Halo player, I think the game's only going to get better when we get those new, unique perspectives and people bring in their expertise and passion for the Halo franchise.
We are looking for new talent as the projects that we're working on kind of get further and further into their development cycles.
And it is great to be part of a team that's growing because you can kind of see that force multiplied as people come in and take on challenges and you can do more.
Imagine a place where you have the commitment that this is what we want to do, Halo games, and create those experiences. And you can express your talent, your creativity, and your professional ambitions in that place.
We're looking for designers, we're looking for artists, we're looking for engineers.
It feels like a new beginning for the studio in a lot of ways, and I think that's pretty rare.
Ooh, he just said something so key. He feels like it's a new beginning for the studio. That's exactly what Halo needs. They need a revival. Halo is one game away from being back in the conversation. Big Grim says Halo 2 multiplayer was your favorite gaming experience. Yo, Halo 2, that multiplayer, you know what it was about that multiplayer? It was like, man, that multiplayer just had a level of magic to it. You know what I mean? It was just magical. It was just like words can't even put it in and describe how magical that multiplayer experience was. Same with Halo 3, magical. Just magical, right? And but Halo needs that. They need that revival, man. It's like when you think about Halo today, it's like that old uncle right, that still think he the shit, but now he got the gray whiskers in his beard and whatnot. He still got it, but he old now. You know, that's how Halo is, man. So I hope that they can, you know, put a nice facelift on it, right? Throw a little BBL on that bad boy, and come out swinging, because we need Halo as a competitive shooter in the industry. With all these battle royales, extraction shooters, man, we're getting away from the arena shooter experience and the arena shooter being the leader in FPS. We need that, right? I think Halo Infinite just had an update where they're doing third person. So yeah, I need Halo to try different things, branch out, innovate. We need Halo to innovate. So it looks like that's what they're doing with this. Let's see what else they're talking about.
And I think we arrived now at a point where you see the beginnings of people to start to believe in the process.
There's so much momentum that we have right now, and focus and clarity on not just what we're building, but why we're building, and kind of this next phase of Halo.
The worlds that we're building, the stories that we're going after.
The potential at Halo right now is huge.
Halo Infinite was the last remnants of how we made Halo games in the past. That was our recipe. And what we're doing right now, we're changing that recipe.
Woo! Okay, a new dawn. I likes to see it. Yeah, I'm excited to see what this new Halo entry is going to be. There's rumors out there that they're doing a Halo Combat Evolve remaster. So I'm curious to see if that's true. It's just a rumor right now. I'm curious to see if that's true. And yeah, I'm just excited to see where they take us, man. Where they take us with this series. We need Halo to come back as a heavy hitter in the industry. A gaming world where Halo is dead is not a world I want to live in. With that being said, we're going to be moving on to the next topic. I want to say this is the final topic of tonight of this podcast. So Undisputed got a 1.0 release. This game's been on my radar. I haven't been really checking for it like that, but let's go ahead and see what people are talking about. IGN just did a review. Let's see what IGN is talking about. Even though nobody at IGN is a boxing fan, and you gonna see what I'm talking about. You gonna see what I'm talking about when we watch this review, but I'm curious to see what they talk about.
Boxing fans have gone far too long without a serious video game contender stepping forward. Fight Night Champion is the last true heavyweight in the genre that Punch-Out started, setting the bar high with its weighty focus on realism over a decade ago in 2010. Developer Steel City Interactive's presumptuously named Undisputed comes in as the plucky underdog looking to knock the king off its throne.
They'll be squared up against young blood.
But while it is a split decision in some areas, it's clear the newcomer still needs to put in a bit more time on the speed bag before it can end this particular dispute.
This is going to be one hell of a fight.
Undisputed's career mode does an excellent job of capturing a convincing simulation of what it's like to rise through the ranks of the boxing world. It has impressive character customization options with dozens of hairstyles, tattoos, and wardrobe options to provide free reign to make an imposing, serious character or try and recreate real-life fighters. You can even make a wacky monstrosity similar to the WWE 2K series, as the Creation Center lets you stretch out faces, give big Dumbo ears, or rock a green afro akin to a chia pet. Alongside that visual creativity, Undisputed also features various fighting styles to choose from, which have an effect on both your cosmetic animations and functional gameplay. You can emulate Mike Tyson by creating an offensive-minded bruiser with the Swarmer choice that focuses on inside power punches, or float like Muhammad Ali by using Reach as the outside fighter, which wears an opponent's health down with speedy jabs while draining their stamina by dodging instead of blocking. You could also go with an archetype like the Wall. While using it sacrifices stamina and power, the benefit of an improved guard to reduce the damage of incoming blows and a boost to accuracy for landing punches can be worth the trade-off.
Nice counter shot.
That works well in the long run, but a lack of power and speed, combined with how slow Undisputed fights feel at the start of career mode when stats are lower, requires some patience. During the early fights, character stamina can drain after just a few punches, leading to many matches ending by decision. This is the one area where realism can drain your gaming stamina just as fast as your characters. After 2 or 3 matches, it's not hard to understand the appeal of a more arcadey approach to fights. Sometimes it's just more fun to knock a fool out. Thankfully, Undisputed's approach to setting up each fight is enough to make things entertaining even when the fights themselves aren't always. It follows an RPG approach to negotiating and training for opponents, mirroring how the process occurs in real life. Undisputed gives you control over almost everything, including the challengers selected, within reason of rankings, fight earnings received, and even the time required to spend on social media promoting the bout. Successfully negotiating before each contest results in buffs to important features like fame, attribute improvements, and time spent training. Improving fame means fighting better opponents. Fighting better opponents results in an increase in money you receive and improved stats. Stats and attributes must be improved before getting into these fights, so allocating resources and time is a delicate balance. On top of that, there are tasks to juggle during the weeks leading up to an event. They can be spent training to get into fight-ready shape, resting to improve stamina and ensure less injury risk, or going on social media to reach the required level of promotion needed to fight in the first place. Weight also plays a significant role. Spending too much time on training and resting, and fighters end up overweight, which would mean the fight won't count, resulting in less fame and money when risking injury for no gain. Finally, managing contracts of the coach, cutman, and manager is also vital and Undisputed. Each staff member comes with abilities and perks that improve your attributes, and they grow alongside you with each win. At first, it is tempting to keep the same manager your whole career in the hopes of forming a bond similar to Rocky and Mickey. However, the further into a career you get, the more the pros of sticking with the same team start to fall too far behind the cons. Though a few buffs are lost when hiring a new coach, the extra ability slots that come alongside a manager or higher notoriety make it easier to justify replacing the original team. Being offered increasingly meaningful benefits to kick a loyal crew to the curb makes that decision more of a chin scratcher.
Just missed for that hook.
Back in the ring with those improved stats allowing you to be more active, it doesn't take too many fights to appreciate the flow and rhythm of Undisputed's combat. Featuring out the right combination of quick jabs and power punches, alongside the chess match of attacking the body or the head, depending on the opponent's weaknesses and guard, is very satisfying. Just like in real life, damage adds up and plays a vital role in fights too.
Man, so I just want to be able to break somebody down. I want to be able to get online, a nigga talking shit, and I break his ass down to the lowest compound and catch him with that uppercut, chin check his ass, and drop him. That's what I'm on, man. I mean, the gameplay is looking pretty decent. I ain't gonna cap.
Consistently aim for one side of the head with a solid combination of jabs or powerful hook shots, and nasty cuts or swollen eyes will appear. Not only do these affect stats like accuracy, but they can also lead to TKOs, where the referee stops the fight. But the more fights that occur in Undisputed, the more these mechanics feel lacking when directly compared to the 14-year-old Fight Night champions. In that game, there—
No, damn. Look at the graphics, though. Hold on, bruh. The graphics look— why do it look better on Fight Night Champion? Hold on, bro. Let's take a look at that again.
Compared to the 14-year-old Fight Night
Champion right here. Look how good that looks. Champions.
In that game, there are a handful of different types of cuts, bruises, and swelling. Between each round, there's also a Cutman minigame that, when done successfully, gives an extra stat boost to the fighter's health and wear and tear. Comparatively, Undisputed's wear-down features are limited to the same 3 swelling, cuts, and bruises in every fight, which gets repetitive quickly. There's also no Cutman minigame or interaction between each round to break up the routine. The lack of minigames in the lead up to fights is also a missed opportunity. Instead of automating every training boost, adding an option to hit the speed bag or work on defensive skills manually that can be applied to in-ring action would have been a helpful way to prepare. This is a standard tutorial method in sports games like EA Sports FC 25 and NBA 2K25, so it's disappointing that it wasn't adopted here. In fact, the only minigame that Undisputed does include is ridiculously hard, though to be fair, it shouldn't be too easy to get up when someone has you knocked on your back. You have to press and focus the right and left triggers to line up with green bars to make the count. The issue is the bars are located in different spots, so it's a little like trying to rub your head and belly simultaneously to make your fingers do different things with precision.
That's tough. I like that though.
While the gameplay is fast and fun when fighting with better boxers, it's not all that pretty to watch in motion, which is another way it's still considerably behind where the Fight Night series left off. Knockdowns and rising animations are identical each time, featuring about as much personality and variation as its commentary team.
We are live at the CompuBox Academy. I'm Todd Grisham. Alongside me, Johnny Nelson.
While it's nice that Steel City Interactive got pros like Todd Grisham and Johnny Nelson to comment on fights, their descriptions of the action rarely match what is occurring in the ring. Dizzying camera angles and cornermen standing at ringside popping into the frame and blocking the fight also made for some pretty frustrating moments. While minor, it certainly affects the immersion when you get near the ropes and have to feel like you're stuck behind a tall guy in the movie theater mid-match. Multiplayer is enjoyable, but be ready to run into the usual players who won't choose anyone but the most powerful real-world fighters. With nothing to balance out someone like Muhammad Ali online, those fights don't have the variety they should. Your best bet is to play with friends or hope to find an opponent that wants to use more evenly matched fighters.
Ooh, that's an issue. That's an issue. One thing I like about what 2K did is that they got tiers to the team. So you're not picking the Charlotte Hornets and then going up against, you know, you going up against who freaking, you're not going, who NBA is so weird right now. Let's just say you're not going up against the championship Golden State team, right? They got everything tiers. So if you want to play with shitty teams, you get to play against a guy picking shitty teams. It's like, damn, if I want to use low skill or low level boxers, I want to fight other guys that's using low level boxers. I'm not trying to pick some random and then I got to go up against Mike Tyson. It just don't make sense. It don't make sense. So that there are little quality of life things this game is having issues with, but we got to be realistic. This is not fight night. This is not fight night. This is not going to replace fight night. We still need another fight night. This ain't going to do it, but this will hold us over. Hopefully, EA gets their shit together and make a fight night game, man. We need another fight night. We need at least a remaster. If they don't want to go in and pay these new guys in boxing today the bag, at least make a remake of the old games. Update the graphics, update the physics, update everything about these games, and bring us the fight nights back. It's like we need that. The boxing community needs that. We getting all these UFC games, right? Give us the fight night. Come on now. But with that being said, we are at the end of today's podcast. If you made it this far, give the video a thumbs up for your boy. It's super helpful. I appreciate you for rocking with your boy. And yeah, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. And make sure you stay tuned. I do these podcasts on Saturday evenings every week or every other week, depending on what's going on in gaming. It's your boy RJ. I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. Deuce.